Hey everyone, Mark Schultz here today, founder of Digital Aircraft, and I have got a broadcast for you today that is really interesting. You are going to want to stick with us. Today we are going to talk about how NFTs are being used within the industry. You know, you may think that an NFT, well, why would an airline implement an NFT, and what is it that they're really going to do? Well, you want to be here with me today so that we can learn about that. And then stick with me until the very end, because I have some special things I want to tell you about where you can actually learn more about the industry beyond this broadcast today. Don't miss this. Stick with me. Hey, my guests today are with a company called Arcube, and they assisted Etihad in the implementation of their NFT program. Let's go ahead and bring them right in and we'll get started. Gentlemen, thanks for joining today. So glad to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Good to be here. Thanks.
Yeah. Hey, let me just start out by just introducing you and saying, who are you and what do you do? So Simon, tell everybody, who are you and what do you do?
Sure. So good morning, good afternoon to all your viewers. My name is Simon Kamsky, Senior Global Marketing Manager for Etihad. Been working with Etihad for 8 years. Yeah, that's who I am.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us. And then we have Harvey with Arcube. Tell everybody who you are and what do you do?
Yeah, I'm Harvey Lowe. I'm the co-founder and COO of Arcube. We make brand utility solutions around Web3.
Perfect. Guys, we are going to have a really good discussion today. And one of the things that we do to try to engage our audience is we just basically try to get people to shout out and tell us where they're watching from. So let's just do that for a minute. If you're watching out there today, I ask a couple of things. One, would you share this live stream? Because we are passionate about aviation. We're passionate about digital, and we want to create efficiencies in the industry, and we want to help each other to do that. Tell me where you're located and where you're watching from, and I'll give you a little shout out. So there's a comment box down below. Just go ahead and put in there where you're watching from, and we'll give you a little shout out. I see that I've already had people jumping in, and sometimes it doesn't say exactly where people are from, but we have a YouTube audience which is watching. It looks like we had some people. Sometimes it doesn't say who they are on LinkedIn, but we have some people saying, hey, we're looking forward to the discussion. Then we have a YouTube watcher here, Vantel17, which is watching with us. And then we got all kinds of them coming in right now. And we have Mohammed, who's joined us from Belgium. Welcome, Mohammed. Certainly glad to have you here. We have some visitors from India. Welcome. Let's see, we have Seattle. Seattle, that's where I'm from most recently. We have visitors from Bombay. Oh, Vanti17 says he's from Bombay. Thank you. Appreciate you joining. And then we also have, says my name is too hard. It's too hard to pronounce. So I'm sorry. I wish I could pronounce everybody's name. Yeah. And then we have Mihar Khan coming from Toronto up in Canada. And looks like we have Warsaw, Poland. Welcome, Warsaw. And we have California, or Karnataka, California. Welcome, California. Arlington, Washington. You know, it's always so fun. Guys, you know what's really cool about doing something like this is that we engage people all around the world. And isn't it amazing how digital can help us to reach people from all around the world? We have people from, let's see, it was Argentina. We have Abu Dhabi. They're one of your neighbors to Etihad. We have Dubai. We have a double NFT holder here. Somebody there's a double Etihad NFT holder, it looks like. So really, thanks for joining, and we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. So anyway, listen, keep putting comments in, telling us where you're coming from. A little bit later, we'll give you a shout out. And later in the broadcast, we're actually going to bring up the NFT site so people can actually see it, and that'll be interesting too. So guys, let's just jump right in. What I'd really like to do is, Simon, let me just switch back to you for a minute. I know when people meet people on these live broadcasts that I have, they want to know who they're talking to. So could you just give us a little bit of sort of your journey and what brought you to where you are now doing marketing for Etihad? I think that would be interesting to hear.
Okay, sure. So I graduated, 22 years ago, long time ago. Graduated in marketing, and by chance I landed in the travel industry. I started to work with a ferry company. Then I moved on to a tourism board, spent 8 years doing destination marketing. And 8.5 years ago, I sort of joined with Etihad Airways, and I was based in Berlin. I was responsible for regional marketing back then in Europe, and then that widened to the US as well. And today I work on global projects for the airline. So yeah, that's perfect. In a very few words, my journey.
Etihad is based out of Abu Dhabi, but you're not in Abu Dhabi, right?
No, I'm actually based in London. I am frequently down in Abu Dhabi in HQ, but currently based in London.
Yeah, excellent. Very good. Very good. Now, we're going to get into more details in a minute, but I want to switch back over to Harvey and say, Harvey, tell us a little bit about Arcube and really what brought you to where you are right now.
Yeah, I mean, Arcube's the company that makes Web3 solutions for airlines, brands, sports teams, you name it, we do it. We do the end-to-end solution for brands who want to enter Web3, but maybe don't know how to, or they don't know the best way to in the strategy. So that's kind of what our company's based around. I mean, I've got a background in finance, but mainly to do with, well, traditional finance, but then moving into crypto. I mean, I've had a few years in crypto, and then of course, as NFTs have evolved out of crypto, we've kind of brought a load of freelancer people together and built our team around Arcube to actually move into NFTs and actually solve the problem around a lot of people who have currently done stuff in Web3. They might have not had a solution based around utility, and there is a real big thing that brands can do and teams can do, sports teams, around bringing utility into what they do using Web3. So
yeah, definitely. So let's dig into that a little deeper. And maybe I thought one of the things I would do to start out is, hey, let's talk about some of the challenges in the industry. I have all kinds of people out there and airlines that are saying, you know, why would I want to do an NFT project? And now, listen, guys, I've worked with the Etihad for many years, actually. And I've traveled to Abu Dhabi and Dubai a lot over my career. And one of the things I really found was, Simon, is that Etihad is very innovative. And it's always been interesting to see the innovation that comes out of them. Now, let me ask you this, is that what are the challenges in the industry, specifically the airline industry today, that we're facing, that we're looking for solutions to be able to solve them as it goes to the direction we're going with NFTs?
Sure. So I think, look, just as an intro to that question, thank you for mentioning it. But yeah, at our core, it's a value for us as a company, right? We want to be innovative. We look at everything very creatively. So innovation is really at our core. So clearly, with this as a core value, understanding Web3 technology was clearly a priority for us. And essentially how we can leverage this new technology to digitalize processes within the airline, with clearly the objective of generating more revenue, reducing costs, or just making workflow easier. So that's kind of what set us into this trajectory to start working on a Web3 project. When it comes to the challenges that we faced, there were quite a few, numerous challenges, to be honest with you. It's the first time, right? If I have to think back, clearly first hurdle is the fact that the technology isn't widely understood. And the fact that it's not widely understood makes it actually quite challenging to explain internally to the business, to colleagues, to line managers, to execs, you know, what we're trying to get out of this. Why are we dedicating resources to this? What's the benefit for the business? So that was clearly a challenge. Secondly, you know, there aren't many use cases out there. So crypto's been around for 10 years, right? But if you start to think how many use cases are genuinely seen within brands and tangibly seen by customers across the customer journeys, you know, you'd struggle to find multiple use cases. So going with a project idea and not having a case study to reference makes it quite challenging. So again, you know, you have to convince people that even if there isn't a case study, you have to get your toe wet, right? You have to dip your toe into the technology to really start to understand and know how you can use that technology. I'd say, you know, the fact that from a customer perspective, because we have to look at the customer, we wanted to come out with a project that has appeal, but at the same time, you know, ensure there's security, ensure that there is sufficient understanding of the background that one would need to acquire an NFT. So, you know, where's my wallet? How do I create a wallet? So that understanding from a customer perspective, right? And then finally, you know, these projects, you know, like it or not, we're in a space where crypto is quite predominant and prevalent. So again, any finance team will be concerned if you knock on their door and talk to them about a cryptocurrency, right? Yeah. So we're still at that embryonic stage where this is a challenge too. So I think that kind of sums up.
Yeah, you brought up
challenges.
some really good points, and you brought up the fact that people don't necessarily understand them. You have to convince internally people that they should do this and what the business case is, and then you said that use cases aren't typically understood. Now, I always like to key in on use cases. I want to ask you this: I agree. People don't understand the use cases, and use cases should be driven from challenges in the industry, like the business problems we have. When you and I talked earlier, you told me that these are some of the business problems that we had that we might apply some advanced technology to solve them. And you had mentioned a couple to me, but what are the business problems that you had that you said, hey, we should apply NFTs to them?
So look, I think, just to reiterate what I was saying before, our departure point wasn't exactly a problem, right? Our departure point was more what can we understand from this technology, right? Because it would have been really presumptuous of us to really come out with a solution which is using a new technology based on a challenge which we see which we currently have. I think after launching our first project, we're in a better position to talk about and answer that question. But if I have to go back to answer your question, back a year ago, when we were sort of thinking about how to execute this project, really and truly, what we wanted to understand, with putting on my hat as marketing, is how can we drive additional brand awareness with new audiences out there, right? And how big a community can we generate around a project of this nature, right? Because it all stems from a community that it backs a project and backs a vision, right? So that we can then understand what the technology can do for the customer, but also for the business. Hopefully that answers your question.
That's really good, because what you're telling me is something I tell people all the time is that you have a challenge or you have an opportunity. Let's use those two words, what you just said. And then you have a technology, and it's like, if you go after the technology without understanding the challenge or opportunity, you're missing the challenge and the opportunity. And if you go after the challenge and opportunity, not knowing about the technology, then you don't have necessarily the opportunity to leverage the technology to solve that problem. So it kind of becomes a circle that you're dealing with. And what you just pointed out was that, hey, we had an idea, but we didn't know exactly what we wanted to do. We implemented, and then now we're understanding better what we can do, and we can enhance that further, and we can grow it and make it better. But you boiled it down by saying that we want to have brand awareness and a community. All right. And so I like that. All right. I like that. That's really good. And there's some more follow-on questions I want to ask, but I want to switch over to Harvey for a minute and sort of ask Harvey, a question on this. Now, Harvey, what are you seeing in the industry which is causing you to say, hey, we should present ourselves as people who can help people to implement this brand awareness, and how is it that you said, an NFT is a way to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you see it from another perspective to start with, where a lot of brands have gone into NFTs themselves, or they've gone into crypto, and really what they've done is they've gone, oh, I want to launch an NFT, and then they don't even know the first thing about actually making the roadmap and actually believing in the community around that. So there's a lot of things which Etihad have actually made it really good for us to do, is actually to develop a roadmap that's really quite good and is quite strong in terms of not just ditching the community after we just mint the NFTs. So there's a really long-term roadmap that we're trying to establish, and I think that brands can actually learn from it so that they can do things to do with Web3 in a long-term plan, and so that they don't just go into the Web3 and then just dive straight back out again, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So good. So there are challenges, and you guys decided that you would help them to be able to overcome those and to be the company that they could come to be able to help people to be successful. That's really good. So, hey, we've been talking a little bit about sort of why. So we started out, Simon, by saying why would you do this? What was important? What are the opportunities? What are the challenges? I asked you, Harvey, why? And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about what it is that you did. Before I do that, I like to always continue to recognize our users that are out there. Maybe we could just give a shout out to a few more users that are watching. Guys, if you're out there watching, we always like to know who's here. Just make a comment and tell me where you're watching from. And let's just go down and hit on a few of those that are still on the list there, if we could. Yep. So we have some holders there in Abu Dhabi who are holding lots of them, more LinkedIn users, that are out there. Sometimes the names don't show up. I'm really sorry, guys. I would give you a shout out by name. We have George. George, thanks for joining us. Lots more LinkedIn users. and we have more people watching from India. But guys, I just really like the fact that we can get online. And, you know, I'm here in Florida, you guys are in the UK, and we're reaching people everywhere from South America to, you know, to Europe, to the Middle East, and to Africa, you know, all the way around. And it's just really cool that we can have this kind of a conversation. I see we have another guy watching from Orlando. We have Joe Matern down there watching from Orlando. Joe, thanks for joining us. Actually, we're in the same state. I hope you were safe from all the storms last week, and everything is okay. I see we have people joined us from Victoria in London. Do you guys know where Victoria, London is?
Yes, I do.
I don't. That's why I'm asking. So very good. All right. We have more watchers down below in London. So it's really great. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching out there. It's just really good. It just tells us how much interest there is, you know, in this subject. So guys, let's keep going from here. Let's go to the next step, which is really talking about what. All right. Let me start with Simon, and then we'll come back to Harvey in a minute here. So Simon, what is it that you decided you were going to do? You saw you had this challenge or opportunity, as you rightly pointed out to me. You said, hey, it's not about a problem, but it's like taking the opportunity to leverage the situation. Now, what is it that you actually did, you know, to leverage this opportunity that you had before you?
Right. So what we did is, and together with sort of Arcube, we sort of paved the key principles around the project, right? And what we did is we said, you know, we know as a fact that aviation enthusiasts around the world love to collect physical model aircraft, right? And as a starting point for an NFT, right? If you look at the history of NFTs, well, the recent history, collectibles was really the key driver of NFTs, right? You know, collecting a piece of art which is non-fungible essentially, and will always be yours. So we thought, could we merge this world of aviation enthusiasts, NFT lovers, and sort of merge this world and take the physical model aircraft into the digital space and create the most beautiful 3D digital replica of 10 of our special 787 liveries. So basically, you know, bring to life in digital life our Manchester City 787, our Greenliner 787, our Formula One Abu Dhabi Grand Prix 787. So 10 different themed liveries, and come up with this project where we would have 2003 NFTs across 10 different liveries, and essentially bring those to the market, right? But we knew that a collectible was in principle enough to go to the market, but what we didn't build into, if we only stuck with with the thinking of a collectible, was how could we test the benefit of utility, and how could we understand if a purpose was really important to a project. So that's why we built in two more principles into the project, right? And we brought in the concept of utility by bringing in immediate silver status on our Etihad guest loyalty program, right? And that obviously takes a while for people to collect, but we thought that would be an interesting benefit to bring into the NFT.
So and then second, so if you hold an NFT, you get instant silver status?
So if you purchased an NFT, EY01, which is the name of the project, you would immediately have access to the Etihad guest program as a silver status member. So coming up to the next tier, the second tier in the program. So that was kind of the immediate benefit that we built in, and then lastly, the purpose. We are a company that has now for the last 8 years been fully focused into the research behind sustainability in the industry. So for us, we publicly said any margins, any profitability we have around this project will go entirely to the purchase of sustainable aviation fuel, which technically will reduce the carbon emissions that during the course of this year we would emit. So yeah, those are the three key principles around the project.
Yeah, perfect. So you established some loyalty that was a result of it. You gave people utility by giving them status, silver status, and then you also have a cause behind it, which not only was a cause of connecting people with the collectibles that they like, but it was a deeper cause of addressing the carbon status and sending profits into sustainability. Basically, is that pretty
Correct.
much what you said? Nice, very nice.
That's pretty much what I said.
Very good. So, hey, I know that there had to have been some challenges regarding execution or implementation, and I know that's why you said that you looked to an outside company, to Arcube. So let me jump over to Harvey for a minute and say, Harvey, why was it that Etihad came to you, and what did you bring to a project such as this?
Yeah, I think from what we've done is, I think a lot of people when they come, when they're in aviation or just general consumers, a lot of people don't really know what an NFT is, never mind cryptocurrency or anything like that. So there's a lot of people that maybe even if they've heard of it, they might have just heard of it and that's it. They don't actually know.
Every day, Harvey.
Yeah, they don't have a wallet. They don't know what blockchain is or how it works. So really, this is of course what we're dealing with Etihad's consumers, is that a lot of people, okay, they might have heard of NFT, the letters, but that's about it. So it's more actually making Etihad's consumers able to actually purchase an NFT for the first time, breaking down those barriers so people don't really have to go through the complicated signing transactions, connecting your wallet, all that kind of thing. So that's kind of one thing that we've done really well with trying to bridge the gap between Web 2 and Web 3. And then another thing is that actually people who have bought or have actually flown Etihad in the past, they might not have been able to actually use their Etihad miles. So they've been using, say, for example, they've been collecting their Etihad miles, but they want to spend on something. So we've actually been able to, they've been able to purchase an NFT with Etihad miles that they've collected over time.
With miles. Okay, excellent. All right. And how do they go about doing that?
So I presume it's on the Etihad guest store. I mean, now of course the sale is over, but they could have purchased it with miles there.
Okay, all right. Hey, just a quick go back to Simon for a minute. How did you come up with 2003 NFTs? Why? That's an odd number.
It's just symbolic, Mark. Yeah, just symbolic, Mark. 2003 is the year when Etihad was founded. So people who know the brand well would know that, but it's an interesting fact that we wanted to just link to the project. Yeah, 2003 was the year Etihad was founded.
Yeah, so you just wanted somebody to ask that question, right? Why 2003? Okay, very good, very good. So, hey, listen, I wanted to shift over. I'm sure that those of you watching, maybe you know about the Etihad NFTs, maybe you don't. And so, I actually, first of all, tell us, Harvey, if people were trading them now, the initial minting is done and they're out there, but there are some for sale. Where would they go to buy those? I know where it is, but I'm just asking you so people, know where it is.
Yeah, so I mean, if you wanted to buy one right now, you could do it on OpenSea.io website, and you search for EY01 NFT.
Yeah, so perfect. All right, okay. So I actually have that site in the background. Can we bring that up real quick? There we go. Okay, so there we are. And oops, I guess I have my wallet up there by accident, right? And you guys got me so excited.
EY01 NFT in it, though.
You guys got me so excited about this that what did I do? I went out and got one because I'm also an aviation enthusiast, and I thought that was so cool about Etihad, and I got myself an Etihad NFT sitting right here. Now, guys, on Friday, I'm jumping on an airplane and I'm going to Singapore, and when I chose one, I said, why don't I get Singapore, airplane, because I'm headed off to Singapore. So anyway, tell us a little bit about this NFT and why you chose, what you did, why you chose these airplanes, why you chose the model, why you chose a 3D approach. Can you just give us some details about this?
I mean, I think going back to the sort of media release and things, this is the actual, I think by a brand is one of the first 3D models to actually be released. And I mean, if you can play around with it now, you can actually drag and zoom in to the really highly intricate and detailed 3D models. So this is something that is really not been done and explored before. So it's something, that makes sense for Etihad to do. And what better than to actually build their planes in a 3D model as a digital collectible? So that's kind of the reason why we've used sort of OpenSea and we've used digital collectibles to do it this way in 3D models.
That's great. Hey, Simon, I didn't know, we can go ahead and take that down now. I didn't know, I didn't know exactly what some of the motivation behind it was. And you really connected with me when you said people like to connect aviation models. And so why not connect, 3D models in an NFT? That is really cool. Can you just say a little bit more about that? Because I really think that people that are aviation enthusiasts, they connect, like I really connect with 787s. 787s are my favorite airplane. Listen, the A350s, they're digital. I like those too, but I like 787s. That's why I picked up a 787 NFT. Can you just talk about this a little bit more and why you guys chose to do that? I think it's exciting.
Yeah, look, I think, a phenomenon that's always impressed me since I've been in the aviation industry is you meet people and they say, oh, you wouldn't have a model for me, right? Would you have a model for me on the side? Oh, I'd love to get my hands on that model. So the thinking was actually quite simple, right? So if we're looking at using this amazing new technology, how can we create that sort of experience, or how can we create that excitement from a digital model in the same way that a physical model excites an enthusiast? So really, that's the thinking. Why we chose the 787? Well, as I said, 787 is the backbone of our fleet, right? But they're also incredibly fuel efficient. They are sort of the industry example for sustainable aircrafts, in the sense that because of their fuel burn, the carbon footprint and the carbon emissions is clearly lower than other aircraft types. And the fact that we have this amazing collection of different liveries across our 787 fleet just sort of made sense for us to cover it and just do 10 different liveries from our 787 fleet. The choose the world destinations, of which you have the Singapore, but there's Saudi Arabia, Japan, China, Italy, can't remember the rest, and then the Greenliner, the Abu Dhabi Formula One Grand Prix 787, and the Man City 787.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Hey, listen, we have some questions coming in. I'm going to take them in a minute, but those of you that are out there and want to ask questions, we do this live for that very reason. So, thanks for giving me an explanation of that. That's really interesting. Hey, I definitely had to shout somebody out here, because we have a viewer right now who caused me to increase my interest in airline NFTs. And it's actually Arturs Garcias, and he actually is the head of the NFT program at Air Baltic. And Air Baltic has been involved in NFTs for some time now, and they actually accept cryptocurrency since, I think, 2010 or something like that, for the purchase of their tickets. And, Arthur's has been somebody who's really been helping us in the industry to drive the industry. And so it's really cool to see people like that, that motivate me, and you guys are motivating me. The reason I do what I do in aviation and help bring up, interesting use cases and things in aviation is because of people, Simon, like you and Harvey and Arthur's, because, we're engaging and we're trying to create efficiencies and make the industry better, by doing these things. And it's just really very, very exciting, to see people doing that. So, hey, listen, we have some questions here. Let's just go ahead and throw this first question up there if we could. It's a YouTube user, and they're just asking sort of the future. If we could put that on the screen there, I'd appreciate it. There we go. Love to know the future plans for Etihad's NFT. How are you planning on adding continued value and utilities for holders? So what does the future hold, for the NFT project, Simon?
That's a great question, Mark and Vanti17. So look, I think EY01 was our first project, and that came to an end. We were really successful in sort of selling, I think, close to 75% of our entire collection, which was great because it gave us a lot of learnings. What is the key learning for me, and what we want to bring into our next project, right? And sort of bring into the roadmap is really one thing, right? And that is, how do we ensure that utility is more is wider, essentially, right? So how do we, if I had to take a step back and say our utility in our first project was silver status, right? Immediate silver status. What we learned was that silver status for someone in the UAE was actually quite beneficial, but silver status to someone sitting in Florida who doesn't actually fly with us often or at all has absolutely zero benefit or utility. So where we're heading and what our learning has sort of given us is to drive further appeal to our project and to sort of all our to our entire roadmap is we need to find a way, and we are working on an opportunity to drive passive income for NFT holders. So this is a key principle which is driving the work that the hard work that we're putting in at the moment. And sort of to deliver our project, our next step of the project in 2023, right? So just to explain that again, a utility is as good as it is, depending on your needs. But we all have different needs, and we all require different things based on where we live, based on who we are, what we like. And although loyalty sounds like a great benefit, right? And getting silver status could be an even higher status, right? We believe that the next step and the evolution of our project is actually to drive passive income to NFT holders. So you're an NFT holder, you participate in the revenue being driven through the product that we are generating, and we will launch next year. So hopefully that makes sense.
No, I think
as
that
to
makes
sort of where
perfect
we're
sense.
taking
Hey,
the
listen,
project.
I always like to really be careful about any representations that we make. And I'm glad you said that we're trying to figure out how to increase utility. So first of all, I want to say that, anyone that holds collectible NFTs, great, they're collectible. You never know what's going to happen with them. If you hold utility NFTs, you should look carefully at the utility and say, what utilities does this have? Because it's just like evaluating a business. Is it, what value does the business have, and should I invest in the business? And when you look at an NFT, you say, what is the utility and what value does it provide? But I want to recommend to everybody is that we are not here providing financial advice. We're only providing interesting information and education. And you need to do your own research and really understand what you're doing and why you would buy something and why you would invest in it. And we're not making any recommendations. We're just trying to give you knowledge and education so that you can do a good job of understanding the decisions that you make. Hey, listen, I have a follow-on question from the same user. Maybe we could throw that one up real quick. I think it's also interesting. Oops, not that one, the previous one before that.
We can answer that one too, Mark.
Okay. Do you have any plans for a staking program, like earning miles so is there a way to put staking? First of all, listen, I want to just quickly, if you can one of the two of you quickly explain what staking is? And then can you say whether you have plans to include a staking program for Etihad?
Harvey, you take this question.
Staking is where you essentially lock up your assets, whether it be NFTs or crypto in general, and you lock it up, and in return for locking it up, you get a reward, whether that be a certain percentage, say like interest. That's usually how crypto staking works. Or if you stake an NFT, it might be that you get access to other utility rewards and things like that. Or it could be that you get access to a specific token because you've listed as an NFT. So yeah, that's really how.
Well, listen, thanks for starting out by doing that, because we have people that you said yourself is that there's not that many people that really understand crypto and NFTs and tokens and how they work. And so I always like to make sure that we explain things. Now, next of all, Simon, is there a plan for a staking program? I think the answer. Well, I'm going to let you answer it, but I think I heard you say it in the previous response.
Yeah, I think, look, to generate passive income, we would need to build in a staking mechanism within the program. So yes, the answer is yes. Yeah. I think without divulging too many more details.
Yeah, as a miles holder of any program, you're always asking, how can I use my miles? And whether you're using your miles to purchase a flight based on miles, or whether you're keeping, your NFTs in a wallet and staking them so that they can, you can get return, and you said like interest on them, that's kind of something people are looking for. And just, I'm certain that anyone that does that is saying, how can I give more value to my holders? And I heard you saying you did want to, so that seems to make perfect sense. And listen, the next question, let's throw that one up, is also from a YouTube user. It was really easy, but no, not that one, the one before that. There we go. You said you could answer that one easily, so I think that's a trick question, but go ahead and answer it.
Yeah, so we're really sort of excited to be launching our first NFT holder event in January in Abu Dhabi. So yeah, that's an exciting next step for us. We are also can announce on this call as well that we will very soon announce plans around merchandise for our NFT holders, and that's sort of really exciting for us. But yeah, we're really very active in trying to sort of continue building the roadmap and adding in different projects within the next 12 to 24 months.
Perfect. Couple comments on that. I'm not 100% sure if the question was, when is the Etihad minting event? And the question of that is that the minting already occurred, and Harvey said, well, they sold out immediately. So number one, that might answer that question. The second one is, I didn't know that you were holding a holder, or you were going to have a holder event, and what you were just speaking of is the holder event. So if you're an NFT holder, you have the opportunity to be able to gather with a community who's a holder and celebrate that. And so that's really good. That's excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Let's see, we have a couple of more questions there. Let's see, there was one about, someone asked me if this is being recorded. Yes, we record all these events, And you can go back and look at it on LinkedIn, but I see this user is on YouTube. And you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Digital Aircraft One. And all of the things that we do are recorded on my YouTube channel, Digital Aircraft One. So you can go back and watch this at a later date. So perfect. Gentlemen, just to kind of bring this sort of, to a head here is that, if people are interested in holding NFTs, that's one thing is, you're trying to build community from that. You're trying to build utility. You're trying to build value. That's all great. At one point in time, you told me that there was a reason why, that an airline would want to do this beyond those things. You said you're building loyalty, you're building utility, you're giving people return and maybe investment, you're giving them value. But are there other reasons why the airline would hold this maybe from a revenue perspective? Or if there's an airline watching today, what are you hoping to do with a program such as this from a revenue perspective in the company?
So again, without disclosing too much, I think to answer your question, Mark, the opportunity for us as an airline or any brand, right, that needs to sell is the business model of how we go about selling things. Web3 gives us that opportunity to change that model, to really look at generating revenue in a different way. And, those companies that manage to understand how to use that technology will really be ahead of the game. And that's kind of where we're in. I mean, where our headspace is at. We firmly believe, and Etihad together with Arcube firmly believe that there is an opportunity out there for us to possibly sell distressed inventory that may exist in different ways, right? Inventory that is hard to sell, inventory that doesn't usually sell it's perishable goods. So inventory that doesn't sell in time before the flight takes off. Are there new ways where we can actually generate more revenue using a different model to sell?
Perfect. I really think that's the targeted answer. Is that you one time used the word distressed, revenue with me, or distressed inventory. So what's meant by that generally is that it's something that we can't sell before the airplane pushes back, like what you said. And so in any industry, including the airline industry, we're trying to find ways to fill up every seat the most we can. And you're trying to take new and innovative marketing methods, to be able to do that. That is really good. So I appreciate that. So if you're an airline out there and you're trying to figure out how can we increase our revenues, what are new and innovative ways to do that, this is something you could and should be looking at. Hey, Harvey, I want to hit on a question here, which I was going to jump right to this, and somebody, went right to it. There's somebody on YouTube that asked what your services are. Maybe we could throw that one up on the screen, really quick. Let me just put that one up there. So, they basically said, what does Arcube do? So let's go back to that and say how you can help somebody to do that. Yeah.
So say for example, you're an airline, a brand, a sports team, and you want to enter Web3. You've heard of an NFT, you've heard of crypto, blockchain, but you have no idea how to get into it. You don't know the best way, you don't know the best strategy. And you don't know the intricate details behind actually going from the stage where you think, oh, I want to launch an NFT collection, or I want to launch a crypto token or something like that. So Arcube really just does the full Web3 solution, where we do it from start to end, from design to the actual sale and the proceeds of funds. And we do complete Web3. We do it all, from the design of the artwork to the smart coding and smart contract. So a few specifics in there that maybe people might not understand when it comes to it. But we do everything in Web3 essentially for a brand or a sports team who want to enter the industry.
Perfect. Very good. And, just in summary, we had some pre-conversations prior to this event, and I had asked, Simon this question. I said, well, why would you have used someone in the outsourcing industry? And he said, number one, we may not have had the capacity, plus we needed some additional, expertise to interject into the process. And so I know that that's why people reach out and do, outsourcing, is because of that. And then I just want to hit on one more thing. I constantly have people asking me about security and say, how do we address security and risks in the industry? And I don't want to dig into that in depth right now, but I know that one of the reasons we go to people that are experts is because we want people that understand the technology, they understand the risks, they understand how to mitigate the risks, not only in implementation, but in hacking or in security in holders' wallets, and making certain that the entire strategy is based on one, which is understanding the industry and the risks and ensuring that the project is successful. And so I know that you guys have a lot of experience. And so for me, that's one of the biggest things that I look at is what do they know? What have they done? What's in production? How well do they understand it? And how well can they help me to ensure a successful deployment? And once it's deployed, how do we ensure that the risks are mitigated? So I know those are all things that are really important. And I thank you for your contributions, in the industry to be able to do that. Okay, let's see. Let's see. We might have one more question I'm going to take, and then we're going to move on. So let's take that last question from YouTube from King Mario, 1971. Yep. Airline credit cards have perks like free and heavily discounted companion fares. Any plans to have this kind of utility for Etihad NFT holders?
So I think, look, there are lots of opportunities out there which we're exploring and looking into. One of them could be around the discount space, around similar to what King Mario is mentioning here in his question. I think that everything is on the table, Mark. Everything is up for consideration. If there's a way to monetize and create a revenue stream for both the airline but also the NFT holder, and we're looking into that. And we're looking into that because that's really what the technology allows us to do, using the smart contract programming that sort of this technology allows us to use. It just makes things sort of much more evident to you. So it becomes something that we need to consider.
Yeah. That probably wasn't a real fair question because, publicly speaking about your marketing plans, is not a real fair question because people usually try to keep those, fairly private. But let's just say that, that's an input from a user which said, hey, if I had those things, I would be more interested. And so I'm sure that different airlines watching and yourselves are thinking about what can you do to implement, features and utility, which will cause more people to, come to the airline and more people to buy the NFTs. So I'm sure that those are all important things. Hey, one other question, which I'm going to take as the last question here today, is somebody just simply asked, how can we get in touch with you? And I'm going to give a few things where you can get in touch with the project. But best way to get in touch with you, Harvey, is it LinkedIn, or how should people get in touch with Arcube?
Yeah, LinkedIn. I mean, they can go to my LinkedIn profile, hit me up from there, or they could go to arcube.org. We have a contact form there. And also on Arcube.io, which is the marketplace where we launched the Etihad sale from. So you can go to either of those to contact Arcube, and we'll get back to you pretty soon, really. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
And if I can add, Harvey, if anybody of your audience is interested in joining our Discord or our Twitter channel, we have a very active Discord channel, I think, with over 8,000 members. Our Twitter channel is also quite active too. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we have a slide. Let's just throw that up real quick, right there on the screen. So there, if you want to go to the Discord, and you can join the Discord there at discord.gg Etihad, and Twitter Etihad NFT. And those are correct, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Perfect. Yep. Very good. All right, very good. Well, good. So reach out to Etihad, follow the Discord. You'll learn about events. You'll learn about different things happening. Now, I promised at the top of this broadcast that I would bring a couple other things up. So if you guys will just hang tight for me a minute, I want to tell the users a little bit about some other opportunities they might have to be able to learn more about blockchain and about digital in the industry. I have very actively been doing webinars, and I've been speaking at different conferences and events. And on Friday, I'm going to depart, and I'm going to be heading on my way to see a customer, and then I'm going from that customer to Bangkok. And I'm going to be at the Aircraft Commerce, Aircraft IT Conference, which is next week on the 19th and 20th of October in Bangkok. And number one, if you want to learn about things that are happening in the industry, that's one of the best, fastest ways to do it is to go to a conference or go to an event. You can talk to people like Harvey, or you can talk to different airlines and learn about this. In addition to that, I have a stage presentation that I'm doing on day one, which is on Web3 and blockchain and aviation, where I'm going to be discussing use cases in the industry. And I invite you to join me at that stage presentation if you're going to be in Bangkok. I actually am going to have a free giveaway. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm having a very important free giveaway at that presentation if you're going to be there, so you're not going to want to miss it. The next one that I want to tell you about is in November. There's another conference that's occurring in Atlanta. It's the Aerospace Tech Week conference, and it's on the 8th and 9th of November. And again, there's going to be people there who are going to be talking about blockchain and about NFTs. And listen, at the very top of this discussion, the guys, Harvey said that one of the biggest challenges we have is people don't understand, blockchain and Web3. And so we need to learn about it. And I invite you to continue to watch all the broadcasts that we do and learn more and more about it. But you can also come to events like this. And if you go to that URL there, aerospace-tech-week.com, America's Register, you can go there and register for the event. Now, I actually worked a deal with Aerospace Tech Week, and they gave me the opportunity to provide you with a discount code. And if you use this discount code DA90, they're going to give you a 90% discount off the event registration. It's almost $1,000 to attend. And if you use this code, you're going to get in for a 90% discount. And so I also am going to have a stage presentation, which is on the second day there. And I wanted to invite you to come to my stage presentation where I will again be talking about projects and NFTs and about different things that are happening. It's at 9 o'clock Eastern time on day 2 at the conference. So listen, learning about different things. I'll go ahead and bring our guests back in real quick as we close things up. Learning about the industry, learning about what's happening in the industry is a very important part of success. And gentlemen, I want to ask you a couple of parting comments. Let me start with you, Harvey. Is that what are you the most excited about at this time in the industry with respect to the things that we're doing around NFTs and projects?
I think there's loads of different routes that NFTs and crypto can take, and a lot of them are really undiscovered. And I think it takes an industry, a brand, to go forward and actually do the things that nobody else has done before, and actually then go back and then be a market leader in that space, and then realize, oh, what we've actually really done is really cool. And I think that's something which brands have to do, and brands have to go into the space and do for things which they might have not done before, or avenues which you might not even think of right now.
Yeah, Harvey, I tell people sometimes that my daughter is a surfer, and she tells me that if you get in front of the wave, you can ride the wave forward, and it pushes you and it makes you go faster and further than ever before. But if you get behind the wave, you can't catch up. You're trying to catch up and you just can't get there. And so I kind of turn it to that is that we need to get on top of this, and we need to ride the momentum forward and leverage that for our brands. And so I'm excited about that as well. Simon, let me ask you the very same question. Is that what are you the most excited about at this time in the industry with respect to NFTs and the things that we're doing?
I think, look, not too far away and distant from what Harvey said, but I think the opportunity here is, we want to be a first mover. We want to understand before other brands how we can leverage this technology. We want to be able to test and learn, and we want to be able to deliver just great projects and do it before anybody else does it. I think that in itself is really exciting. At least it excites me.
Yeah, Simon, I agree with that. I personally used to work at an airline, and one of the things I knew about revenue management is that the people that made the price changes or made the price reductions first were the ones which came out further ahead than anybody. And I know you have to be careful with that, and that isn't always the case. But what we found was that people would latch on to something new, and the volume that would latch onto that was dramatically bigger than what anybody else was doing. And so I really, really respect it when you guys take a risk. And when you do something early in the technology, or when you do something new and innovative, because when it's successful, which I see it's being successful, people latch onto that, and it just causes what you're doing to grow even more and more. And it's harder and harder for those that haven't moved to catch up. And so I really thank you for your movement in this industry and for what you're doing in those spaces, because I think it's going to make a big difference in helping everybody to move forward. And you guys are the ones that are leading it, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Hey, listen, everybody, thanks for watching today. I really appreciate it. If you want to reach out to me, you can always get a hold of me on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to me on our webpage, which is digitalaircraft.org. And you can also learn more about an NFT project that we have, which we'll talk about at another time. But thanks for joining us today. Gentlemen, I appreciate your knowledge and your information on which you've brought to this conversation. It's essential. We've had a great audience. Thank you for everybody watching today. I'll close this up by just saying what I always do. Fair winds and following seas to all of you. Have a great day, and we will see you on our next broadcast. Bye for now.
Thanks.
You can bring Harvey back in real quick.